Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots, political and cultural literacy. Mel the Bodysnatcher is not here tonight. He's at a funeral for a famous person, apparently a local celebrity. It's not Aretha. She's been dead for a while, so don't worry.
Is that the only one we got?
It's nobody that famous. It's not Tim Robinson. It's not him either. Thank God.
Yeah, and also nobody freak out. It's also not the Spaghetti Man.
It's not the Spaghetti Man.
Thank
yes,
God.
for if you're from Detroit and you go to festivals, you know
You're cutting out again, man.
he's still out and about, dancing around. No, I'm not. I am not.
All right, I'm just lying, I guess. Because I just like to lie about your audio quality.
He is always his Corey Walsh.
And he's Dan Griffin.
He's Libservative, intellectual idiots, fostering political and cultural literacy. Am I still cutting out? Do we have to have
No,
these
you're
problems?
good now. I was just waiting for. Oh, you did just cut out there. Well, Dan figures that out. Libservative Podcast is found on all social media podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today. And Dan's back.
Back.
Quick.
I timed that perfectly, did I not? Everything's good now. What do we have on the docket tonight, Corey? We have Ken Klippenstein back on Twitter after 17 days, but the story of Ken Klippenstein's Twitter ban is not over. We'll get into that. We've got the U.S. I think we kind of all knew that this was going to come at some point, but we were all hopeful. Maybe it wouldn't
cut out again.
The United States is. I think I'm good on my own end, as long as the recording's okay. We'll figure
Why?
this
Because
out.
you can hear your own voice when you're talking. I can hear my own voice when I'm talking too.
U.S. sending troops to Israel.
Yeah, that's a thing now.
Something specific, and the Israeli government is, I think, doing what many of the anti-Israeli crowd predicted they would do, or at least are in conversations of it. When the Gaza, if you want to call it a war, the Gaza war started, and we're in the home stretch. 3 weeks to go before the world ends. Apparently, we are either going to be a Christian nationalist nation in 3 weeks, or we are going to be, or we're going to be a communist nation. We're going to, but he's still got JD in there.
Yeah, but Kamala gave up the communist stuff too.
No.
They both gave that up because they wanted to get more of a populist vote. You don't know what Trump stands for. He put all the people in to get the Roe v. Wade overturned. And now he's like, oh, this was bad. And he's like, I won't do a national abortion ban, when everyone that was behind him the first time was like, wait, what? I thought that's what the game plan was. They spent all this time making this whole project called Project 2025 for him to, like, Trump, look what we made for you. Like, it was a macaroni art class project. And
he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need that.
I don't want it. I don't even know what it is. I won't read it because I don't want to read it.
I've been told there's some good stuff in there. There's some not good stuff in there. It's just all it is just typical.
And then on the other end
shit.
is Kamala Harris, who now owns a gun. She's being a border hawk.
A Glock, to be specific, Corey.
Yeah, and then to be specific, just a Glock.
I own a Glock too. It's blue.
It's just a trainer gun.
I don't want. Hold on. I don't want YouTube to kick us off. This is not a real gun. It's just a piece of plastic. Chill the fuck out. YouTube will kick us off.
He lost his real guns in a boating accident.
Firearm on it. Yeah, look, see, the trigger's not even the trigger is glued to the
boating accident. So his wife bought him a toy one.
Yeah.
Kamala, you know, like she isn't for Medicare for all anymore when she was for Medicare for all. She claims to love capitalism now. She like I said, she owns a gun. Big on the securing the border. What else was there? Oh, tariffs. She likes tariffs. And she
Tariffs
also
now.
now wants to be on the Joe Rogan podcast because Trump says he's going to be on there. So
That's awesome. Isn't it amazing
whatever
how
side you're for or against, the other side thinks that the world, like you think the world's going to end if the other side wins, but both sides that you're blindly supporting or objecting also have completely flip-flopped and contorted their shit. Like I just yeah, it's wild. But this time apparently it's the most important one to vote for the lesser of two evils. But it's been that way every time, and that's how we got in this fucking mess. So yeah, that's just I don't know. I could just keep going, but
dude, it's no, well, to that point, just to piggyback on what you were saying there, it's always so amazing that when these election cycles start, this isn't anything new. It's just kind of gotten a lot louder with the advent of social media and podcasts and what have you. This idea that like right at the beginning of an election cycle, everybody is like both candidates.
oh, and then Tim Walz
on,
just agree on everything. Or Walz and JD Vance just agree on everything apparently.
Yeah, because they're just nice Midwestern guys. But how at the beginning of every election cycle, how the other side, whichever side you're on, is always the most radical we've ever seen. And then as steadily as you get closer and closer and closer to election day,
radically less radical.
They just revert to the middle as far as close
which
to
is
the middle
center
as they
right,
can possibly.
which is just center right.
Yeah, for the most part. It's amazing because we're going to see this again in 2028, right? We'll probably see it in 2026 a little bit, but the midterms aren't quite as crazy as the president are. And it's just amazing how many people that are still out there that don't see this fucking game that they play. Because at the end of the day, all that matters is power and American hegemony, dude, and taking away your rights, regardless of which side you're on.
No, it's wild because like I feel like that's like look at Congress's approval rating. It's like in the gutter. It's like 30%. Both of these fuckers only have like 46% approval ratings,
and they all get
everybody knows that it's bullshit and that nobody likes it. But every time they fucking fall for all the whatever the mainstream narrative is pushing based on which news outlet you watch that bashes the other side, everybody always fucking falls for it. And then all of a sudden everyone votes for one of the two parties. These same people but then on the off season,
that's because if you look locally, like take the House, for example, because there's a lot more members of the House than there are of the Senate. Everybody thinks that their person is fine, but they hate the House as a whole. So like that's why Congress gets such a shitty approval rating, but also the same people keep getting reelected because everybody
because they think that their guy's the good
that's
guy.
on their ballot. Yeah. So good. Our Senate race is Mike Rogers versus Alyssa Slotkin here in the Michigan state.
I don't know much about Mike Rogers, to be honest with you.
I need to drink more martinis. Dude, he's just a typical conservative. Like there's nothing special about him. Alyssa Slotkin is just a typical neoliberal Democrat who's also all of a sudden she's all for securing the borders now all of a sudden, even though she went voted for every single initiative put forth by Joe Biden. Like they're just they're nothings. They're nobodies. They have no principles. They're typical politicians that you would see in that you're going to see in every single race. Am I going to vote for either of them? Probably not. Dude, it's going to be amazing how much of my ballot is just going to be blank. I mean, there's a couple of local initiatives.
Representatives and the shit like that, especially in the state and stuff like that, I'm probably still going to vote for. It is something, unfortunately, that because it has way more of a direct role in my life. So it's like, do I want the guy that wants to cut funding to like the state parks or things like that, or like to our water and our Great Lakes, like fall out of the GLRA and stuff like that. Like there are certain things that do fucking a good return of investment. I'm probably gonna try to dig through the people's history and vote based on the like what everyone did a little bit better. Like we have a Republican drain commissioner, here, like water commission or whatever. What public works, I guess is what it would be. Here in Macomb County, and she's doing a bang up fucking job. She gets my vote every time. The guy before her was like mafioso, and he was a Democrat, and
Just because you're a racist, Corey. That's why.
because I voted for a woman.
No, because you voted for a Republican. Check that R. You dirty racist.
Throw me out with the bathwater, I guess.
We're absolutely going to get racial on tonight's show. By the way, I just want everybody to know as we get this thing going.
You're gonna get racial. I'm gonna try talking you off a ledge the whole time. Doesn't matter how many N-words I drop off the air. No, I'm just kidding.
What did you learn on this week? On this week, I really am losing my mind. I can't use words tonight. What did you learn this week, Corey?
So what I learned this week is that basically Israel owns nuclear warheads, but no one ever makes them answer the question if they do, and no one acknowledges if they do. But yet behind closed doors, they all basically knew that they did, but then didn't force them to join the NPT, which is the non-proliferation treaty, which even Russia, and all the other countries that have nuclear weapons signed. And we kind of just, and like the way they got it was through thievery, working with France, and espionage, like by bribing scientists to leave like blueprints of centrifuges or subterfuges, whatever they're called. I know I kind of malfunctioned there for a second.
Corey, everything you just said sounds really, really anti-Semitic. Just letting you know that right now.
No, it wasn't. It was the Israelites that did it, not like Jewish people. There wasn't like Jewish people that were just shopping markets.
I like how you call them Israelites as if we're reading out of the Old Testament.
Oh yeah, that's how I look at them.
I think you mean Israelis.
But
I love when you say Israelites, though. So I let you get away with it. But everything you just said, they're
no, like one of them, for example,
theaters.
The guy who
I'm totally kidding, Corey.
Some 90s director, he would like basically honeypot scientists by inviting them to come meet like famous actors because he was a big movie director and producer.
Don't get bogged down by all the haters out there.
Or they would bribe scientists to just leave blueprints out, and then a friend would come over to visit for coffee and then go to the bathroom. And then just for plausible deniability, shit, I left those out. I didn't think anyone would take pictures of them. What? He was my friend, And they were buying different chemicals in large quantities that are known to be used for this stuff, but like no one asked questions. From all different countries, including America. And then when we finally pushed them enough to like come there and like look in their facilities, if they had like underground stuff and things like underground like nuclear purification systems and fission centers and stuff, it's like plastered walls. They made notes of and stuff like that, and it's wild to me because this is all the shit we accuse Iran of, who is also trying to make a nuclear weapon, but like I'm sure that they know that their biggest enemy has a nuclear weapon, even though they're saying that they don't. So it makes sense that they want a nuclear weapon. And like it just adds even more context to the whole bullshit that's going on over there between the two, where it's just this stupid tit for tat. So I guess what I learned that they do have nuclear weapons, because now it's kind of like just like kind of mumbled like, well, yeah, they probably do, but it's always said like really fast. So like it's like kind of being eased into your brain like some sort of fucking what's that called? Who was the first black president of South Africa?
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, the Mandela effect. That's what I'm looking for. You know,
Yeah.
they talk about the Mandela effect. It's like they're trying to Mandela effect that Israel. Oh no, Israel always had nukes. What do you mean, man? Like, didn't you know?
Well, there is the old E-Bombs World video about the nuclear bomb, and Israel is included. So that's where I get my information from. Still, is E-Bombs World? Like
Yeah.
it's, 2002.
Flash animation, damn straight. That's
Boy,
how
I
I
hope
learned to
he's
count to
qualified.
55. Shiggity shiggity schwa.
Oh man, shit. What I learned this week, Corey, you being a disc golfer will be one of the people that gets offended when somebody outside of the game refers to it as frisbee golf, correct?
Jokingly, I'm not a douchebag.
No, but a lot
But will I correct them? And like, well, they call it.
a lot of disc golfers get really offended by it. What I learned this week is actually about the inventor of the frisbee, and it is that Walter Morrison, the inventor of the frisbee, expressed a quirky wish in his will. Do you know what that was?
No.
To have his ashes turned into a frisbee. And that is exactly what happened to his ashes. His ashes were incorporated into a limited edition series of frisbees, allowing him to soar through the skies even after his passing. That was about the Bodysnatcher things learned right there. That's what that was. But it got me to thinking, like, what's the worst thing? I went to the worst thing because I'm a cynic like that. What's the worst thing somebody could turn your ashes into? And my immediate first thought was like butt plug, like something
Toilet
in that,
seat.
that range, a toilet seat. Or your mom would not be happy if your ashes were turned into a butt plug. My mom.
Are you
be.
saying that like that? Well, you're God willing, we're gonna outpace our parents. Like, you mean your parents would not want their ashes, or you would not want your parents' ashes turned into that because they're gonna be dead.
Hopefully, that sounds morbid, but yeah.
Hopefully,
It's like what? No, but you always think it's
I've
like,
been praying. What have you been praying for a
Well,
while,
Mom-
brother?
what would my mom think of this if my ashes were turned into a butt plug or a toilet seat? Butt plug would be so much worse, though. I couldn't think of anything worse than butt plug.
I don't know. A butt plug will give someone pleasure. Toilet seat just gets pissed on and shit on.
That's true. But then I got to start thinking about like what would certain prominent figures want their ashes turned into? Like Nikki Haley would probably want hers turned into a bomb that gets dropped on Iran or Gaza. Donald Trump was a tough one. I couldn't really think of what he would definitely want his ashes turned into. Maybe like a series of limited edition golf balls.
Probably. Either that or
What
or like in some shoes. I don't know.
Liberty wants to know what he
you
slash
came into the
she
middle
slash
of.
they them walked into the middle of. We found out that the inventor of the frisbee had his ashes turned into a limited edition frisbees, and we were wondering what is the worst thing to have your ashes turned into. And mine was the first thing I thought of was butt plug.
Like a butt plug of all those foxtails coming off of it.
What would
Made of your hair? Made of your hair.
What would Kamala Harris want hers turned into? Like a gavel, like a wooden gavel.
I don't know. I kept thinking like you're putting me on the spot. This would have something to mull over.
All right, let's do
my ashes. You know what? I want my ashes stirred up, put into a douche, put in my wife so I can be all up in them guts one more time.
I can just imagine the infection she would get if she.
No, see, because like I have a whole thing, like I always have a little bit where I always talk about like being stuffed. I never thought of ashes. I always thought it'd be funny to be stuffed. And then like just
So if
be
you
by
were
the front
stuffed,
door with like
would
your
you
hand
want
like this so you could hold coats.
Would-
You could put
would
me
you be
outside and
erect?
hold a bowl of candies. No. Or be in
No?
the bathroom like this. And like be a
I guess
toilet
you could
paper
have like
holder.
an option where there's like an air pump behind you, and there could be like an option. It could just be like an erect option.
A little string to make me talk. Now my friends can make me say bad words.
Man,
the
talking
problem
about
with that,
the
though,
Frisbee did
the problem with that though
took a dark
is
turn.
when you're stuff like that, like it's gonna be, like maybe 1 year, like it'll be in the house for like 6 months, and then it's gonna get passed around to the kids because no one's gonna want it. Well, one kid actually. So it's gonna end up in an
Used or
attic, and
used stuff?
fingers are gonna get broken off, and then I just end up in like my grandchildren's attic and get thrown out, or end up in some sort of like curiosities and oddities museum.
And then there's
I
definitely
told
gonna
you,
be a
see, I have a
murder
whole like
investigation at some
thought
point.
of, like how I'd want to go if I could get stuffed, but I don't know what I'd want my ashes turned into if I ended up getting cremated.
I don't have anything. I got nothing.
You got nothing. You don't know what you want your asses. Well, what do you want? What's your ideal funeral? So when you die, I'll do it for you.
I just know that I don't want my ashes turned into anything, any sort of sex toy that goes in the anus. That's all.
So
I
then
know.
that's
I
what
just-
I'm gonna
so
do.
just okay, fine. So I was gonna say, just don't do that. Beads too. No beads.
I'll make a note of it.
That's what happens when fall hits, folks, and I start drinking martinis. Things get wild on this show.
You limit yourself to martinis in the fall.
You know what? It is my fall drink. I figured that out. It's my fall. Winter too. I like a good. I like a good dirty martini in the winter as well. Here's big news of the week. Ken Klippenstein, after 17 days, was finally allowed back on Twitter, but his story didn't end with his Twitter ban.
Wait, so for the audience, what happened to Ken Klippenstein?
Ken
You're cutting
was
out.
banned from Twitter for. God damn it!
You're good.
How
You're
about
good.
now?
Just keep-
Are we good
yeah,
now?
no, you're
I'm
good,
pretty
dude.
sure the audience can hear me.
Don't yell at me.
Ken Klippenstein was banned by free speech advocate Elon Musk's Twitter for what the hell was it? It was the JD Vance dossier. After Ken Klippenstein published this something like 20 days ago, because it had JD Vance. They say because it had JD Vance's address in it, and it was considered doxing, which is bullshit because JD Vance is a public figure. A quick Google search will pretty much tell you where he lives and what his properties are. He also had a video of his property on YouTube from a real estate company. So the whole doxing thing was bullshit. Ready Player J wants to know who the fuck is Klippenstein and what the fuck is Twitter. I see what you did there.
Klippenstein.
Kleptostein. Yeah, he's not exactly a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I've had too many martinis. But anyway, so Ken Klippenstein was banned from Twitter from the guy that claims to be
Free speech advocate.
a free speech advocate, free speech absolutist. He was recently allowed back on, which I guess, I'll give credit to Elon Musk, whether he did it for virtuous reasons or not. He recognized that, you can't call yourself a free speech absolutist and then ban somebody off of Twitter for doing journalism, because that's exactly what happened in the first place. But Ken Klippenstein's story is not over there. And this actually doesn't have anything to do with Elon Musk or Twitter, but it has to do with what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say as a journalist, what you're allowed to publish and what you're not allowed to publish. This past Friday, Ken Klippenstein was visited by the FBI at his home.
Sounds about right.
Just to let him know that he was a victim, or I don't know if victim is the right term, but he fell for foreign misinformation. And Ken Klippenstein made this quite clear when he posted the JD Vance dossier, that this was likely hacked by the Iranians. And he knew that, and he put it in his piece. He knew that it was likely hacked by the Iranians. But it's this weird thing where...
What exactly is the context of the piece? What was in the piece?
There was nothing in it. There was nothing of any substance. It was basically just like JD Vance's history. That's why it was so weird. Like, there wasn't anything that like accused JD Vance of like sexual assault or like cheating on his wife, or there was nothing good in it. It didn't fucking matter. But the point is It should be allowed to be published and not censored by first Twitter, then Facebook, then Instagram, then Google was pulling it down. And it basically turns out that this is a situation where the security state gets to tell you what's okay and what's not okay to publish. So they show up. So the FBI shows up at Ken Klippenstein's house in Madison, Wisconsin, and informs him that he was, catfished or whatever terminology you want to use, by foreign disinformation or misinformation, because the Iranians were likely the ones that hacked this dossier. And Ken Klippenstein's like, yeah, I fucking know that. But the point is, it's this thing that, like, the source is more important than what the facts actually are.
Yeah,
because
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's where I was going to go first.
There's this piece in the First Amendment where you're not going to get in trouble for reporting things, but there have since been laws added onto the books where foreign adversaries providing information can be considered, illegal, or not necessarily illegal, but like the security state can kind of step in to quell these things
or harass.
So that's why you see so much of this. That's basically what Russiagate was. That's what this JD Vance dossier is. It's like, well, it came from a foreign adversary, so maybe it's okay for us to tell the people that they shouldn't look at it. You see how that can just be weaponized to kind of circumvent the First Amendment in the first place, because it's about where the source came from.
Yeah, like if some foreign adversary blew the lid off the top of some crazy Ponzi scheme that the government was involved in, or like released some heinous war crimes that, let's say, America or one of our allies did that we could stop, say it was still ongoing. If they released that information, I think everyone in America, if it was like trust, like what is it? Trust but verify, or what? How's that saying go? Not trust but verify, but there's that saying about like verifying something, right? Anyways, so
I don't know what you're talking about.
So like when you get information,
like I really don't know what he said at the end of this, and I don't think he knows what he said either.
Trust but verify. Reagan said it. Oh, it's a Reagan quote. But about them Russian commies. Okay, basically exactly what I'm fucking saying. I guess I'm agreeing with Reagan on this. And if our adversaries are giving information about candidates to say that, do we get to know them better, especially something as mild as this? But if there was some sort of like allegations and then they had the fucking information and plopped it and Americans got a hold of it, the government shouldn't come after you for sharing information that could potentially be to the betterment of the American society.
Yeah, and to be clear, Klippenstein wrote a whole piece about this.
Obama.
Klippenstein wrote a whole piece about this on his Substack. He made it very clear that he was not intimidated by the FBI agent to come to his house, although he did say that the FBI agent that came to his house was so young he looked like he was basically fresh out of the womb. But yeah, it's just this weird intimidation tactic where maybe the FBI sends in the nice guy the first time, and then if he does it again, maybe the guy's not going to be so nice. In fact, according to Ken, the FBI never even read the dossier, never even read the piece that Ken Klippenstein published that was in question. So. And apparently the FBI, the young FBI agent, took a little bit of a dig at the government, probably not on purpose, because Klippenstein goes, I posted that thing 2 weeks ago. What took so long? And the FBI agent responds with, and I'm paraphrasing here, something to the effect of, 2 weeks is a pretty quick time period for the federal government. And like, that's honestly, good. This is a situation where Klippenstein could be lying, that the FBI didn't actually come see him. But the way that he writes this piece, I recommend everybody that is at least has access.
Well, I mean, has it been debunked? At it. Like, you feel like
I don't I don't think it's a lie because of the way he describes the story and the way he describes the interaction with him and the FBI agent, and also like openly admitting that he didn't feel intimidated by it at all.
Right. Well, I mean, and his journalism has been pretty credible and honest, like throughout his career.
Right. And that's one of the biggest things that pissed me off about his ban from Twitter in the first place. It was like, because Ken even said, like, this isn't about me. It's like, boohoo, my account was banned. Like, I don't really fucking care. It's just about the deeper lying issues, you know, the hypocrisy of, if Elon Musk is going to call himself a free speech absolutist, which I think going back to when he bought Twitter, Corey, I was criticizing him for saying that because it's just something you don't say.
Right. Like
you don't say that you're a free speech absolutist when you run a platform like this, because it's going to get you in trouble at some point. Even if I agree with him.
He's not suited to own Twitter. Because he'll do a weird stance, right? Like for what Twitter or X, whatever he wants to call it, has become. And it being, like basically the proverbial town square.
But Corey, wait a minute. I'm going to push back on that because go ahead and then I'll push back.
Because he'll take this crazy fucking stance and let his platform be banned in Brazil based on these principles, but then turns around because there's a piece that he may or may not have seen as friendly to the campaign that he's openly rallying with and trying to get that team to win, and banning anything of any sort of dissent against that political party and finding a weird way to dox because he found the fucking address anybody could find online.
But here's the thing. Like, as much as I'm criticizing Elon for his handling of Ken Klippenstein, and I will until the day that I die, because you're the free speech absolutist guy. What I will say is this. I love the fact that Elon Musk bought Twitter, because if he had not done so, the Twitter files never would have come out. Right? We would still be sitting here speculating on what the government did and did not, quote unquote, encourage these social media platforms to censor. So from a First Amendment perspective, like the thing about Elon is you have to understand that this man is remarkably flawed. He's brilliant. He's done a lot of great things, including buying Twitter. He's remarkably flawed.
Yeah, Liberty Twitcher said true, but in the long run, I think we all benefit from Elon's semi-nuttiness. And I was gonna say
I kind of agree. I kind of agree.
Like, what's it called? Starlink? Is it Starlink? Did I say it right that time? His internet with the satellites. When Helene,
I didn't realize you'd ever said yes.
When Helene came through and wiped out Asheville, North Carolina, he had Starlink like this, so people had access to.
Fuck yourself.
Calling and texting. He did it for Ukraine. He just had a fucking rocket land in reverse, sending something off into space just recently. Like the guy, net gain. Like he made electric vehicles like commercial. Like he pushed that industry in that direction with his Teslas. Like he's done a lot of really fucking cool things. The Neuralink thing, that's going to be another just absolutely just bonkers thing that's probably going to save people that have different like mental handicaps, like not mental handicaps, but like muscular dystrophy, or someone who had a stroke and lost half the use of their body. Like that sounded like a Kamala cackle.
Yes, it did. And
you understand what I'm saying. Like the guy's a net gain, absolutely, but he shouldn't be on Twitter. He's too like super internet.
Are you saying
he's hyper online?
It's okay for him to own Twitter? You saying it's okay for him to own Twitter, but he shouldn't be on it?
Well, I'm not. If he's gonna pull this shit like he did with Ken Klippenstein, then I don't know if that was you or Kamala laughing that time. But if he's gonna do the same, if he's gonna do shit like this to Ken Klippenstein, then no, I don't think he should own it. If he wants, unless he stops saying it's free speech, like stop pretending it's one thing when it's not.
So Corey, that's why we've spent the last 3 weeks since the ban was put on Klippenstein for us to continue to call it out. I'm going to give Elon credit. I know it took him 17 days, and I don't even know if he's the one that made the call, but he's the head of the snake. So they did put him back on. I don't know that you could say that for the last regime that owned Twitter. I actually, as much as I've shit on Elon these last 3 weeks for what he did to Ken Klippenstein, I actually am fine with him owning Twitter. I'm fine with him being who he is. I have vehement disagreements with this man. I don't like how much he supports Donald Trump. I understand why he does, though. I completely get it. It makes complete sense to me why he does. I don't love that about it. There's a lot of things about Elon that I don't love. But as you said, Corey, he's a net positive. You know, he's the tech version. He is to tech what Jordan Peterson is to psychology, right? Like Jordan Peterson, we've said multiple times, is a net positive. I have vehement disagreements with that man, but I mostly like the guy. I think he cries a little too much, but you know, it's neither here nor there.
More perspectives in a room is always better. So that's the reason that, like, again, I did disagree with same thing. I disagree with Peterson all the time, but he sparks conversation. He makes you think of, like, he makes you have to form an opinion on something that you might have never even thought about. It makes, you know what I mean? It makes your neurons fire.
And both men, while flawed, are remarkably brilliant. Like there's no, like the people that try to say that these people are dumb are the actual people that are dumb. You know what I mean? Elon and Jordan Peterson are both.
Smart Jordan Peterson is. I mean, he's got a degree, sure, but
he's a pretty brilliant guy. He's a pretty brilliant guy. He's wrong about certain things, but he's a pretty brilliant guy. And it's
not immediately clear to me.
It's not immediately clear to me exactly how brilliant Elon is.
Elon's brilliant.
The drunker I get, the worse my Jordan Peterson impression gets.
But the better your Dan impression gets.
I guess so. That's all I had. Ken Klippenstein back on Twitter. Just like these are the kinds of things that I think it's important to keep track of. If you want to deify somebody like, because he's not a god. He's a remarkably flawed person, but a remarkably brilliant and important person to our planet at large, I guess is what I would say. Just keep these things in mind. That's all I'm saying. Even the people you like sometimes they do fucked up shit. Anyway, what do we have next, Corey? What do we want to get to? We want to get to U.S. troops on their way to Israel, folks. Here we go.
1 inch closer.
It's
to America.
Are you surprised?
It's just, we had it in our old room. We don't have it in this room. Remember the song we had the song "Boys Are Back in Town"? I was gonna play that. Like it's just gonna be America in the Middle East.
Bullshit.
Oh no, yeah. Here's heading back in the Middle East. The boys are back in town. I can't play for too long.
Now, honestly, when I say that troops are headed to Israel, it sounds a lot worse than it is, but it's just the first step. So this coming from Retz, Corey, I had it in front of me, but I couldn't figure it. I can't find it. It's not exactly right in front of me.
What is
but
it?
It's there. There's 100 troops headed to Israel to man what the fuck is it called? The weapon system.
I forget what the acronym
The THAAD system.
The something
Man.
defense.
The thermal high altitude defense battery, along with 100 troops for their operation, because apparently Israelis for some reason can't operate this system. So this isn't like we're putting boots on the ground.
We've heard, but we're still putting them in harm's way. And what this ultimately
100%.
is
I'm with you on that.
Israel playing America like a fiddle to use American soldiers as an insurance policy against Iran, because Iran knows that if they kill any American soldiers, the dogs here are going to rattle their cages, or they're going to rattle the dog cage that is America. I don't know that. Whatever that saying is, that thing, that quote, that trope. Anyways,
it's really all I had.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what's happening. And it's they're putting Americans out on an island, hoping that they'll get hurt so that America gets pulled into this war. We already are we're already shooting missiles out there to help defend Israel from our from the sea, and we've had missiles shot at our ships and stuff like that. Like it's stupid. It's dumb.
I don't know that they're out there hoping that they'll get hurt, but they're definitely out there.
But if they do, it's good for Israel
as a deterrent.
Because then that's more American money. That's more American troops.
It's just the next step in escalation, right? Because this is what we've seen throughout this quote unquote war. I use that term.
We're also funding Ukraine to do the same prodding and poking to Russia.
Yeah, I use that, and we'll get into that in just a minute because I actually have a comparison to that when it comes to our next topic. But
and North Korea and South Korea might be
U.S. troops are definitely being sent. They're definitely being sent. I would agree as a as sort of a deterrent against Tehran sending any more deadly missiles at Israel. But it's just.
But they probably will because they're getting set up to send missiles to Iran.
We are setting up for a greater Middle East war. Now you can say that that's going to result in World War III. I think that that's a little bit hyperbolic, but it still scares the shit out of me because there's just so much of the world doesn't really actually. I wouldn't say they don't care. They don't really have a vested interest in this, but still, we're looking at a situation where you have two Middle Eastern possible thermonuclear powers actually going at each other. And like on the one hand, you look at the United States sending the THAAD system over there along with American troops as a way to maybe deter Iran from doing anything stupid.
After Israel is already telling them that they're going to strike them. Like Israel is going to be striking Iran soon.
And that's
like
that's
they've made that clear.
That's kind of my whole point is like the United States, we do this fucking weird thing, right? Where like we get a war going in one way or another, or at least we aid in getting a war started so that we can come in and play the hero that stopped that war. We can sell just enough weaponry, right? It's this game that we keep playing. We can sell just enough weaponry.
Ever since we started playing this game.
We can sell just enough weaponry to, make a good amount of money for, Lockheed and Halliburton and the others. But also take it right to the edge to where we send in enough deterrence to stop it. And I don't know that we're going to be able to do that this time. Because the
snowball's rolling down the hill and it's fucking stupid. It doesn't help the economy at all. Like you know what I mean? Like war is a money maker, sure, but it's like the broken glass thing, right? When someone breaks a window on a shop that sells suits, that guy now has to send money, and then the shop next door sells shoes. Wait, no, man, I lost myself. Never mind. But it's the last thing that I'm like, if someone gets their window,
great episode. You're exhausted. I'm drunk. It's okay.
If someone's window gets broken, they have to spend money on getting that window fixed instead of spending that money on creating a new product because there was no product gain because it's just repairing something that was already broken. Where that glass that was now being used for your window could have been used for a new construction build, but now it's used for that. So then now the resources for that is that much less. Like it doesn't help an economy to just blow shit up instead of using those resources and those technologies to build. Is all I'm saying when it comes to like us here with like Halliburton and all that.
No,
shit.
It's interesting you bring that up because that kind of leads into the next escalation that the Israelis are throwing out there, which is, and this is from Haaretz. This is from an Israeli publication, where the Israeli government is done with ceasefire talks and seeks the annexation of Gaza. So now we are now at a point where we're not having negotiations to stop this war. We're not having negotiations to stop this killing.
Now they're talking about just doing a total annexation.
Now they are trying to, or at least discussing the possibility of a complete annexation of Gaza. And listen, if you're in the pro-Israel crowd, just understand this. is something that the anti-Israel crowd has been saying since this war started. That
this is what the end game was.
That October 7th gave Netanyahu and the Israelis the ammo that they needed to say, fuck you, we're wiping out Gaza, we're taking it out completely, and we're taking it back. Or I shouldn't even say taking it back, taking it for the first time, just as they've done since 1948. Israeli defense officials told Haaretz on Sunday that the Israeli government is not seeking to revive ceasefire talks with Hamas and is now pushing for the gradual annexation of large portions of the Gaza Strip. The report came out a week after Israel ordered Palestinians living in northern Gaza to evacuate to areas south of the, I can't pronounce this word, Netzarim corridor, a strip of land controlled by the Israeli military. The evacuation order came after a major escalation in Israeli military operations in the north, focused on the Jabalia refugee camp. Yes, they did fucking wipe out a bunch of refugees, or at least attempted to, which has been under complete siege. The Israeli newspaper, I can't pronounce this. This is some Yiddish word that I struggle with. Yedioth Aronoth. I probably butchered that. Has reported that Israeli forces in Jabalia are carrying out a, quote, scaled down version of the, quote, general's plan, an outline for the complete ethnic cleansing of northern Gaza and the killing of any Palestinians who choose to stay, whether by military action or starvation. The UN's World Food Program said on Saturday that no food aid has entered northern Gaza since October 1st. Now, keep in mind, this did come from antiwar.com. They're anti-war. It's a Ron Paul organization, and there was probably some hyperbolic language used in what I just read there. However, it's hard not to look at this and go, I told you so, if you're part of the anti-Israeli government crowd. That this was the end game to start with. And I want to put this out there to you, Corey, because you had mentioned Ukraine just a couple of minutes ago. Imagine,
before we shift to Ukraine, I wanted to tell you real quick.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. This is going to pertain to Gaza. All I wanted to say was, like, imagine if Putin came out tomorrow and just said, we're going to annex half of Ukraine. We're going to annex all the way up to Kyiv. Like, what would the reaction be? But for some reason, Israel annexing this tiny chunk of land.
Russia did do that. They had those boats in those annexed areas, and we called him a war criminal.
The people wanted it. The people that lived in that place wanted it. People in Gaza don't want to be annexed.
But
by
America
Israel.
called him a war criminal, called it an illegitimate capture.
So
Russia
you're making my point
doing
for
to Ukraine,
me.
the big
Not
guy.
that you weren't trying to begin with.
No, I was. You didn't have to say that.
I know.
But yeah, it's just when Russia does it, it's a pariah. You know, he needs to go. All of this fiery rhetoric like that, but when Israel does it, we just turn a blind eye and we just send more money and more troops.
They're taking out the dirty brown people.
And now,
they're dirty terrorist brown people.
Like, the UN is up in arms, but like the UN is keeps looking like a fucking joke. But there's a bunch of Irish soldiers that are peacekeepers. They're getting fired upon by the IDF.
All we were trying to do was bring in a tunk of Guinness for the lads.
And
that's all we were going for.
The greatest beer run ever. But no, it's like, and if anyone knows about apartheid, it's probably the Irish.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, well, I would say the South Africans, but sure.
It just happened to the Irish first. Isn't that funny that the British
we understand.
Too? Isn't that funny?
We understand what you're going, lads. We just brought you a tunk of Guinness.
Isn't that funny how the British are at fault for both of those apartheids, and the Brits are at fault to why the whole Middle East is a fucking clusterfuck? Fucking Brits, man.
Indirectly, but yeah.
I mean, the Balfour
indirect,
Accords,
yeah.
you know, promising the Zionists, Israel, and then going back on the Balfour Accords and giving all the different Middle Eastern countries who fought for the Brits to take out the Ottoman Empire just to their allies like Spain and France, and and then they all just owned them. Like, it was just their territories. Like, it was the culprits for that. The apartheid in South Africa, the apartheid in Ireland. And then America came along, baby. We told them to kick rocks.
There's something about this, though, right? Where you essentially have Israel going, assuming that this is all true,
going
right?
Russia on Gaza.
Well, that, but also, well, it's honestly no, because it is kind of the same argument. Because here's what I was about to say: it's almost this. We have to take the enemy's land in order to have them not kill us. Which actually, no, that's not the same at all.
Yeah, that's how empires fall. That's what Rome did.
Yeah, we have to take their land so they don't kill us. It's the same thing that I, and I'm sure you as well, Corey, have been saying since the beginning of this conflict, which is like, how do you prevent genocide? Well, you know, they're trying to genocide us, so let's genocide them first.
Like, yeah, it's what the fuck.
Yeah, we have to take their, like, does this sound at all familiar? Because it should. It absolutely should. And imagine if Putin tomorrow said we have to annex Ukraine so they stop killing us. Like, how would you feel about that if you're, you know, pro-Israel or whatever it is?
Well, so that's tough to say. That like that's I hope, like, trying to set that up like a gotcha. That's tough because like there's a lot of people who are on the pro-Israel side and the anti-Russia side, and then vice versa.
Corey, I only set that up as a gotcha for like the establishment stooges, right? Because like anybody who has principles, anybody who understands, anybody who acts principles probably understands what I'm saying. But like the establishment stooges that are like pro-Ukraine and pro-Israel, and you know that, yeah, you know the people that I'm talking about, and there are people that are in the sphere around us that are exactly like this. It's this unbelievable hypocrisy. It's this
cognitive
incredible hypocrisy.
Worthy and unworthy victims.
In this situation, Israel is Russia. Sorry to say it. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm not sorry to say it because it's fucking true. It's absolutely.
Some young cut FBI agent will be at your house tomorrow to give you a little chat.
Now, there is a caveat to that, because obviously we have a situation where Ukraine wasn't like sending terrorists into Russia to break out of an open air prison.
No.
Like
the difference is
Israel and Gaza.
The difference is Ukraine was just a patsy in the Maidan coup, and then getting cozy to the West, and then blatant talks of going like ripping up the Minsk Accords. I think it was the Minsk Accords.
So there are certainly some differences.
It wasn't a physical attack. It was a diplomatic attack because it was established country versus established country, not a hellhole with a ragtag, with like being run by like a gang of a bunch of ragtag people. And
as Dave Smith puts it, the toughest gang in the prison.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, against, you know, an established country. What's happening right now in Israel is the same thing that happened in Iraq. When Iraq attacked Kuwait, the whole world was up in arms and fought him back and got him out of Kuwait in the first Gulf War. So then instead, he just kept killing his own people, the Kurds, in northern Iraq, and nobody gave a shit because it was within their borders. That's what it's all about now. Ever since World War I, really, it's about what happens inside your borders.
Can I make a prediction as we sit here on October 15th, 2024 at almost 9:30 p.m.? If in fact we have an annexation of Gaza by Israel, I'm not gonna give a time frame, but I'm going to tell you this: the West Bank is next. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing: the West Bank is what the Israelis want. They actually don't give. that much of a shit about Gaza.
It's kind of in
It's
their way.
just that it's just that Gaza is a kind of a pain in their ass because they keep firing missiles at them. So on the one hand, I kind of understand, but from a morality perspective, I absolutely don't. If they're allowed to just annex Gaza, which you know what? It's funny because I'm just thinking about this like in real time. It's like it doesn't even fucking matter. Gaza has been absolutely flattened. It basically doesn't fucking exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so if they're able to do this to Gaza,
like they already did what
West
they need
Bank
to
is
do.
next.
They're just basically sitting on it until another country takes all of them.
And
They
so
just
the West
keep
Bank is
shuffling them around, picking some off on the wings, and demolishing the whole fucking area until another country goes, all right, fine, we'll take the refugees.
Mark my words, there will be no Palestine. And then you sit there and you wonder why, Hezbollah, and you wonder why Iran wants to come to the defense of the people that are being destroyed and oppressed. And it's not, and when you say that in the West, right? It's
right.
like,
and it's like,
and
then you understand why they want nuclear weapons. Do we think they should?
You're pro-tyranny.
Absolutely fucking not. But you understand why Iran wants them.
And you understand, and you're able to sympathize with the actions that Iran wants to take without necessarily sympathizing with what Iran represents, right? Because these are the things that are often compartmentalized. Like, oh, you're saying you're pro-Iran? No,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge
No,
fan
they're
of
acting
Iran. I don't like the way
they're-
they treat.
They're acting pretty much how you'd expect any country to act. Look how we acted when Cuba, with the missile crisis. You know what I mean? Like, anything gets close to us, like, fuck you, like, back the fuck up kind of shit. Like, it's the same shit, just different actors,
At the end of the
different
day,
characters.
If you just backed the fuck up for 15 fucking seconds, if you made Israel take care of their own business for just fucking 10 fucking minutes and just made them think about what their next action is going to be, you got to be curious about what that next action would be.
War with Iran, apparently.
And dude, at the end of the day, it's like, antiwar.com, right? The Ron Paul revolution. It's like, I just want the war to stop. I don't care who, honestly, because that's the question you always get asked. Do you want Russia to win? Do you want the terrorists in the Middle East to win? But I don't fucking care about a winner or a loser. I really don't care. I just want it to stop. Like, honestly, if you told me that Iran winning a war, this is going to be really controversial. Iran winning a war meant that war in the Middle East was over, I'd have to think about that for a minute. I might be okay with that.
Right.
Like, I don't give a shit who wins. I don't care who wins.
As long as there isn't nuclear proliferation or like.
And as long as there's not like.
But that's the thing is like, that's my issue, right? It's like you're talking about a sanitized scenario where it's just Israel and Iran. Right?
Sure. Just, yeah.
But that's not what's going to happen because America and then a bunch of people follow in behind Israel, and then China and Russia follow in behind China, Russia, North Korea follow in behind Iran.
And that's how World War III starts. That's how World War III gets going over the Middle East.
So like this is how World War III starts. Nope. We're crab walking our way into World War III right now.
Well, Trump's gonna stop it. He's gonna make sure it don't happen.
I don't care who the fuck it is that stops it, but
I really don't care either.
Someone fucking better. The current administration isn't fucking doing it. And that's the thing is like I don't have faith.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. He's a bad person.
I don't have faith in either of those fucking idiots. They're gonna get rickrolled by anyone who's a part of like this national intelligence or anything. They're just gonna make them. They're going to do what liberals do. They're going to try to establish dominance by seeming like the smartest person in the room. And
foreign policy on the spot. Hold on. Foreign policy. I'm going to ask you a question. Foreign policy on the spot. Who do you have more faith in, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
So
I know what my answer is.
So it was really uneasy with Trump, but 2 wars were started under the Biden and Harris administration.
You're going to tell me Donald Trump, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah, I think so.
Because I agree. I agree. Do I have a ton of faith in Donald Trump? Nope. But if you're forcing me to choose, because his foreign policy was shaky, was it better than Biden's? I don't see how you could argue that it wasn't. I really don't. I mean, and you're going to get the same thing out of Kamala Harris. Foreign policy-wise, yeah, I actually have a little bit more faith in Donald Trump. It's so fucking funny. What are we sitting here on 2024, October 15th, as I said? If you'd asked me that question in 2015, I would have... my brain would have exploded.
Based on experience.
Thinking that I was going to say that 8 years later. 8 years later.
It's wild, right? Just because Trump has rapport with all of these leaders. He did that weird peace through strength shit where, like I said, it was super uneasy the entire fucking time. Don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah, and he still dropped drones. Like, he wasn't.
There was a point where he was just as close to the exact scenario of World War III with Iran that we're talking right now with this administration when he killed the general in Iraq, and then they sent missiles back to America.
And that weirdly kind of just went away.
Yeah,
didn't it? Nobody remembers that.
But at the same time, he was the only president since the Korean War to step foot in Korean soil. You know what I mean? Like, that type of shit was happening though. But then we also had bodyguards for the Turkish fucking president kicking the shit out of Americans on American soil, and nothing really happened from that. Like, I don't know. It's fucking weird, man. The whole time, like, as I'm thinking about it, all the fucking things that happened, like, super uneasy. It seemed super shaky and super, like, wild the entire time. There was nights where I would be up looking for updates. Like, I lost sleep because of Trump's foreign policy. But I can't say I'm losing any less sleep under the Biden-Harris administration. Fucking Ukraine's popping off. You know, now we're giving them F-16s when in the very beginning they're like, no F-16s. All right, fine, F-16s. We're sending troops to Israel. We're fucking popping rockets in the air against Iran. Like, the velocity is a lot higher with this administration than was the last one. I've probably lost more sleep with this administration than Trump's administration.
It's because you're listening to too much foreign disinformation, Corey. That's all. That's all that is.
Just world news and current events.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. He's a bad person.
Oh, I lost sleep under Trump. I didn't like his fucking foreign policy, but I don't like this one any better, is all I'm saying.
Nobody's ever been hit like that.
Oh, he had, under Trump, the American dollar is being traded more. Under the current administration, now BRICS is popping off, where, like, now there's more and more countries pulling away from trading the U.S. dollar. You know why things in America are cheap and nice? Because
they're not anymore.
It's fucking traded in the U.S. dollar. And this administration might have upended that through the crazy-ass sanctions against Russia, who's doing way less atrocities against the Ukrainians than Israel is against the fucking Palestinians.
Nobody's ever been hit like that.
I don't know. So, yeah, it's fucking
I eat
wild.
no for breakfast.
Is that right?
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
I think that's exactly what we're doing right now. And
No.
What can be is fucking nuclear war unburdened by what has been.
Corey, I don't even think I put a fucking banner up for this one, which is fine. That's my mistake. I apologize to all of our viewers and listeners, but we're getting down to the home stretch here. We got 3 weeks to go before the end of the world. If we get there, as the title of this episode says,
we're gonna smoke some fools.
I am so drunk on a couple of martinis and a B43. Like, I'm good. I don't need any. You can probably see my eyeballs going back and forth. I don't need any more intoxicants than I've consumed already this evening.
What did you think?
However, you're gonna smoke some bowls. Oh, so you said poles. I thought you said bowls, but poles are also very intoxicating. Do you have any in front of you?
No, you just mentioned it before the show.
Bowls or poles?
Poles. You're like, I wonder what
No,
the
but I will.
like is.
No. I fucked up, and I didn't look up. All I know is this. Polling is showing that
It's still a toss-up.
Well, that's true. But also, polling is interesting among men versus women. It's very interesting. Kamala obviously polling much better for women, and Trump better for men.
Isn't that interesting?
It is a little bit because it is because it's never been like that before.
It's almost
to the degree.
Trump instilled 3 Supreme Court justices who supported the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And a lot of women really freaked out because they thought it was like hyperbolic before that. And then it happened.
Well, yeah,
and then the other one is like, hey, I'm going to do what I can, even though I probably won't. Well, she didn't say that, but she's at least saying she's going to try to fix it. And men are like,
here's the thing. It's worse than it was in 2020. It's the
plus it's a woman.
Gap is worse than it was.
It was a man in 2020. It's a woman.
I guess that's true, but
it makes complete sense.
Black women are the most newly registered voters in this election per capita. Like, it's not like not like raw numbers, but per capita, Black women have registered to vote more than any other demographic leading up to this election. Again, not surprising, right? But interesting. Because what does that lead to when it comes to election day?
But will that affect anything? Because if we're, like you said, Black women. So Black women, based on demographics of areas where like white people live and Black people live, it's probably more urban. So it's probably already a blue county, anyways.
Yeah, and so you're talking about 6.5% of the population,
right? But like in areas that are probably already swinging blue.
Also, Kamala Harris is really trying to get the Black men's vote, which just tells me is that like she's not as confident in getting or I shouldn't say her, but her campaign and the Democrats are not as confident in getting the Black men's vote as maybe you would have assumed.
Mm-hmm. Obama was just out scolding him
first.
Obama was out yelling at him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're sexist. Like, running out and calling Black men sexist is a really good way to get them to vote for Kamala Harris, is it not? I have the opportunity.
I was thinking about that, and it's like, are we still at the point where we're like, when it comes to the whole Trump thing, like, do people think at this point, 8 years in, shaming people is going to get someone to vote? Like, you're trying to shame people into voting the way you want to vote?
Corey, it takes
and both sides does it.
Well, no, and you're right, but it takes forever for these people to learn. And when I say these people, I'm talking about like the elites and the powers, the power structures of both of these parties, because Kamala Harris is talking about going on Joe Rogan's fucking podcast.
Yeah, she's like, well, Trump's gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Somebody from Kamala's team met with somebody from Joe's team.
And they should send Walls. They shouldn't send Harris. That's who they should send. Like, Walls is a likable character.
People want to hear from
the knucklehead.
I get it, but people want to hear from Harris. But like, that's the whole thing about like too late catching up to
Walls comes with her.
As her emotional support person that she likes to take with her everywhere.
Yeah, do you think because he's a buffer? He's a good buffer because he's good at just the jib jab. He's good at the candor.
I don't know. And for her
And
sake,
does Trump bring? And does Trump But I don't. Trump would definitely not bring JD. He'd want JD to go on in a whole
dude,
second.
it's weird.
Separate episode.
I honestly don't think Trump likes JD Vance that much.
I don't think so because he outshines him. I told you he outshines
all
him.
the time. Yeah, I don't think he's a big fan. Like
He's
if he
what
helps
the
him
fuck did I
win,
do?
great. Yeah,
Rather
Kamala
him than
Harris.
Pence.
Kamala Harris is condescending the fuck out of black men. Right on her website, KamalaHarris.com. Kamala Harris will deliver for black men. And it's this neoliberal policy of like, we're just going to create like a commission and a committee, a program that's going to help these people with their inimmutable characteristics get ahead, right? So Vice President Kamala Harris will lower costs and give black men the tools to build wealth, provide for their families, and lead their communities. How fucking condescending is that heading? How condescending? And if she were white, how racist is that heading? Oh,
Yeah.
black men aren't capable. They don't have the tools to build wealth. They don't have the tools to provide for
That's
their
what's
families.
so frustrating.
They don't have the
about
tools to
these
lead their
things
communities.
Is like now maybe like on a ratio of black people, there might be a higher percentage of black men who are poor than there is the ratio of white men that are poor. Like, you know, because like there's a hell of a lot more white people. So a hell of a lot more of them are probably doing better because like
You're talking about you're talking per capita.
Right. Black people have definitely had it easier for a lot longer through the American history than black people. White people did. I mean, I think I said white. Yeah. White people have definitely had it a lot easier than black people for a pretty good swath of our country's history. But now it's not like that anymore. But there still might be some entrenched things that came through that black people face. But per capita, there's a hell of a lot more poor white people in our country. And a rising boat raises ships. And it just always frustrates me when they try to divide the poor class by color in situations like this, where they could have just replaced
and that's by design
with poor. And the black poor people she's talking about aren't excluded, they're included, but you're also helping a large swath of poor white people, which is ironically, most of them live in red states, where some of the poorest counties, where it's poor white people. And if you help them, then what's that going to do? It's going to help the fucking federal tax money and spending, because then they'll be making more money. Because right now, states like Kentucky get $1, like for every dollar they spend in federal taxes, they get like $1.60 back. The fucking blue states like California, they only get like 60 cents back on every dollar. Like the red states are heavily supplemented because of a bunch of poor white people by the federal government. And if you just help poor people instead of quartering it off into different fucking little niches with race, it'll help the whole country a hell of a lot better. But it's pandering, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier,
the argument
about the elections about to be coming up, and that all of a sudden they come way more to the center, but there's still things like this that they do just to pander to a certain vote.
It's the same argument against affirmative action, right? Because affirmative action is something that I believe, and I believe you believe as well, Corey, was something that was created for virtuous reasons, right? Like let's get poor black kids into better colleges and
it had good
and what
intentions,
have you. Good intentions, but it's something that you
and in the beginning, I think it was effective and it worked.
Yeah, then, for a minute, but then you realize that eventually it just ends up being the most affluent black kids that end up getting these scholarships to places like Harvard and Yale. It's the black kids that went to private schools in Brooklyn. It's the offspring of Nigerian royalty that comes over here and ends up, because when you create something,
and then
when you create something based on an immutable characteristic, When you create a program based on an immutable characteristic, it's the most affluent of the people that have that immutable characteristic that end up taking advantage of that. And we know that through the data that has come from affirmative action, that it doesn't fucking work.
Yeah,
This
and then
no
affirmative action also hurt other minorities like Asian people. It hurt other minorities.
Hold on, what's the next one?
But if you instead of doing it by race, you did it by just income, then it wouldn't matter what the skin color is. You'd just be helping poor people.
Kamala Harris plans to expand access to bank accounts and lending to help black men build wealth. Whatever the fuck that means, because black men aren't
access to bank accounts.
Dude, it's so condescending. Like, black men can't get bank accounts on their own, so we have to help them do it. Enabling black men who hold digital assets to benefit from financial innovation. More than 20% of black Americans own or have owned cryptocurrency assets. Vice President Harris appreciates the ways in which new technologies can broaden access to banking and financial services. She will make sure owners of and investors in digital assets benefit from a regulatory framework so that black men and others who participate in this market are protected. She needs to protect your assets for you if you're black.
That's just wanting to regulate Bitcoin through the guise of identity politics.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. I thought something similar to that. Breaking down unfair and unnecessary barriers to employment for black men. What are those? What barriers do black men have?
Like, they're not named.
Getting hired.
Like, there could be a good one that I can't think of, right? Like, that's the thing. Is like there could be a good one that we can't think of, but they don't name them.
Yeah, some racist old owner of a fucking
like some sort of program where you can do it, but like where it's easier to report to like a portal where it's easier to report like clear racism in the workplace or something like that. Like,
but even so, what are you going to do? The guy owns a business, doesn't like black people, doesn't hire them. Like, do you really want to work for that guy anyway? Like, honestly.
First off, no. But if it's like the only shop in walking distance, and they're being clearly racist.
Enabling black men and other workers to profit when company executives profit. You mean fucking capitalism? Like, that's just what capitalism is. That's what it is. Everybody profits. Enabling black men and other workers to profit when company executives profit. That's just capitalism.
I hope that what she is like, because some of these ideas, like, yeah, like they are like they have good intentions, but it's
hold on. You want hold on. It gives a little bit of an explanation here. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
It says right now, black employment rates are at all-time highs, but too few black Americans own assets that build wealth over time. So we're going to help you with that. We're the government. We're here to help. Vice President Harris has a plan to help black men own more assets by reforming our tax laws to reward employer participation in employee stock ownership plans, profit sharing plans, and comparable arrangements, with appropriate guardrails to ensure these plans benefit and protect workers, giving low and moderate income workers a stake in the business has been shown to close the racial wealth gap and fuel business growth. A win-win.
So this isn't something explicitly for black people.
Like, honestly, that explanation. But that's not what the heading says on her website.
Right. So like that makes it sound like it's
enabling black workers.
Yeah. But is it?
The heading says enabling black men and other workers to profit when company so like you don't even have to put in enabling black men and other workers.
No,
all you have to do is take out. All you have to do is take out black. Corey, all you have to do is take out black men and other workers and just say enabling workers to profit.
And it doesn't sound like a bad idea. A tax incentive for a company to offer workers stakes so they have stocks to build wealth. Like, It's not a terrible. It's not a terrible idea because then the company still doesn't have to do it. But all of a sudden, just like again, this is just this is one of her weakest bases right now that needs to shoe in the fucking vote. So she's catering to pander.
And that's the thing. In principle, you're 100% correct. I don't know that I agree with the policy, but it's fine because it's all encompassing. However, all she did was just put black men in a sentence at the top of a heading, just a virtue signal. Like you just put enabling workers to profit when company executives profit. But she had to put black men and other workers into this heading just to say that she is curtailing her policy toward black men.
Yeah.
Expanding pathways for black men.
Again, it's because she feels shaky with this voter base.
Yeah. The next one is expanding pathways for black men to good paying jobs, whether or not they have a college degree. Again, all you have to do is say expanding pathways for workers to good paying jobs.
Yeah.
All you have to do. Like, it's just so gross. It's so gross and condescending what she's putting in this fucking policy. Providing more pathways for black men to become teachers and school leaders. All right, whatever. Invest in grant programs for mentorship and leadership development. Okay, that's fine. Nothing pandering to black men there. Providing financial support to financially stressed farmers and ranchers, including black farmers and ranchers. Why did you have to put that last part in there? You don't have to put including.
I told you already, Dim. I told you.
God.
I don't know why you get so fired up. I told you.
I'm fired up.
Her campaign is reeling because the black voter base isn't a shoo-in. So they're pandering to it by taking these policies that a lot of them actually don't even fucking sound like they're actually for like poor workers regardless of race, but they just can't fucking get away from identity politics.
And that's it's honestly, it boils down to the condescension, right? So like, imagine you're a black man who owns a farm, right? Done. And you're reading this and you go, providing financial support.
Something I've never farmed and I've never been black. Yes, I can imagine being that.
But like, you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, so providing financial support to financially stressed farmers and ranchers. Whether I'm white or black, if I read that, I'm going, oh, cool. Like, that applies to me.
And
then
if you're a white farmer and you read it and it's for black farmers, you're like, fuck.
Well, and that's exactly like, well, I don't know that I would agree with that either, but it's like, then you read the next line.
Not fuck out of anger, like, fuck, I'm not getting help.
And it's like, but like, you read the next line and it goes, including black farmers and ranchers. And if you're a black farmer or rancher, you look at that and go, was I not included in the first line? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's just like this, it's just this weird little that is just gross. Providing black men and their families with reliable low-income internet access. Again, condescending. Black men obviously can't afford the internet, so we have to help them.
Right. And honestly, based on demographics,
I could go on and on. I'll stop. But there's a ton more.
But again, based on demographics where people live, I promise you, more poor black people have better access to internet than poor white people, because the poor white people are all in the mountains or in the rural areas. And the black people are typically in inner cities where they're in walking distance of a Starbucks or a place that has internet. Whereas people way out in the fucking middle of nowhere don't. And they don't have cell phone towers nearby. And they don't, you know what I mean? Like,
they're white, so they're privileged.
Yeah, they sure blend in. Yeah. They could put on a suit and walk around New York and everyone will think they're rich.
This is the thing, though. Like, this weird condescension politics. Like, do you really think black men are this fucking stupid? Like, I'm really interested to see.
I don't,
this election is done.
They do.
Right. And then, like, I'm really interested to see.
No, that's not fair. I don't think they think black people are stupid. They're just they're just really, really fucking nervous about this voting base. So their idea to try to,
and I'm really,
so they fall back to identity politics, which is dumb. Don't get me wrong, it's dumb.
Yeah, I'm
Just
really
like dirty
interested to
politics are
see.
dumb.
I'm really interested to see the exit polling numbers from black men after Kamala Harris released this policy. Maybe a lot of them won't see it. Like,
You mean the
because-
brothers? Fucking
Yeah, right.
Obama. And I need
Thanks,
to talk
Barack.
to the brothers.
I'm here to talk. I'm here to talk to the brothers. But first, can I get a glass of
man,
water?
I sure am hip. I am one hip mamma jamma.
I'm just as black as you. I'm really interested. I am really interested to see what the exit
He can
polling
ball,
numbers
though.
are from black men after this election. Yes, he can. That's the only thing that makes him black. Did I say that? I didn't mean to say that. Yes,
No.
I did.
And it's weird that you would say that is the only thing that makes him black. I thought of his skin first.
Yeah, his skin does it.
It's,
That's true.
His skin just like, hey, I'm not racist, but when I see Obama, I think, oh, he's black. Does that make
He's
me
black and he can ball.
Am I racist?
I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know if you're racist, Corey. Honestly, at the end of the day, the condescension, this idea that Democrats still think black people are as stupid as they are collectively on the whole is just gross. I hate it.
Funky. You should reword that.
What did I say?
You said for them to think that black people are as stupid as they are.
I'm sorry, as stupid as they think they are. That was for Democrats to think that black men are as stupid as they think they are. Oh God, I'm going to get accused of being a racist there. Well, you know, people, it's a Freudian slip. People mean what they say. What I meant to say is for Democrats to think that black people are as stupid as they do is it's just gross. I fucking hate all of it.
I don't know
Was
what
that better?
I didn't hear anything you just said because it cut out. All I know is you still think. No, I'm just kidding. I heard you, but it was just.
Fuck, everybody's going to think I think black people are stupid. Good night, everybody.
That's it.
I think everybody knows what I meant. I'm grossed out by the Democratic Party. I'm grossed out by the Kamala Harris campaign in patronizing black men into voting for them. Is disgusting to me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. Is that not fair? I think that's fair.
That's fair. Absolutely. All of these policies that they're promoting would help poor black people without them having to say that.
You know, tell the people where they can find us. I don't think we need to get into headlines. It's getting late.
Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
And remember, Corey and I both have black friends.
Yeah, and I have black family, so I got one up on you, bud.
Aren't you special?
Well, they're not here now.
I'm jealous. Are they dead?
Well,
Some are.
But... No, I just don't mean they're in the room. That's what I meant. They're just not here.
You just bring them
We
in
have to stay woke.
how fucking...
Come on,
They
guys.
insult
Remove the
us
curtain.
in an
Come
attempt
on
to
in.
gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
But yeah, share the podcast with a friend. Just a couple of guys just drinking beers and talking politics.
Just a couple of racist white guys. Privileged. So privileged.
Speak for yourself.
As we are.
Make
I
it
mean,
look
I was
bad,
drinking
man.
I was drinking martinis tonight.
Yeah,
so
you fuck.
It's so funny how people think that's such a boozy drink, and it's really
Well,
fucking
good, it's because we all
dumb.
grew up watching fucking James
I
Bond
know.
make 'em.
It's not a bougie drink at all. It's not. It's like there's nothing bougie about it. It's fucking cheap vodka and vermouth. Like you could make a gallon of martini for cheaper than you could make rum and cokes for the most part. But it's a bougie drink, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
over here.
hammered the rest of this. I'm gonna be hammered until next spring. Anyway, for Corey Walsh, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. For Bell the Body Snatcher, who is not here tonight, he as always has been Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative. And until next time, we are out of here.
Peace.